A massive thanks goes out to Be Quiet, Corsair, Eco Waterblocks, InWin and Sapphire for sponsoring our coverage at Computex 2019.
Hello folks, and we're at Lian Li this time, taking a look at to begin with, the new O11D-XL. So this is basically a refresh of sorts of the eponymous O11D that everyone has now built in, sort of one of the standout cases of the last year. And basically what it does is it extends everything out a little bit more. So one of probably the biggest complaints that I heard about the original O11D is that maybe it just needed an extra centimetre here or there just to fit in a bigger radiator, maybe some more fans, something like that. So Lian Li has listened and they've basically gone and extended everything upwards and forwards. So that means we've now got obviously the same old space for 360mm radiators and with 140mm fans on the bottom, but this time, because they've got the extra height, you can now have a vertical GPU mounted like that using one of these brackets that can go on top of a radiator, which means you can have a radiator on the bottom, radiator in the middle, and on the top without having to sacrifice doing a vertical GPU, because in the original, the graphics card went all the way to the bottom of the case, so you had to choose either to do it that way or to go just sort of the traditional way and go like that. The other interesting thing is they've expanded it to fit E80X motherboards as well. So to do that, you'll see these rather interesting angled grommets. The idea being that the motherboard, if you've got an E80X one, probably lines up to about somewhere over here, and then you can still have your cables route around it. Now I find that really good because even on some of the standard ATX motherboards, the original, or at least the smaller version, had, I'd say, some compatibility issues with USB 3 headers, which are very stiff and quite long. If you had a 90-degree connector, we found sometimes if you put a radiator here, you wouldn't be able to fit both that and the connector in at the same time. So it was a bit of a lottery. Having this extra space should solve that, and you can go straight here. Speaking of which, we've also got more space for thicker radiators on the back here. So rather than going back maybe 20-25mm, we're going back probably about 40, 45, something like that. So you can fit either medium or probably even thicker radiators if you haven't got a giant motherboard and graphics card which maybe extends out to the front. Of course, we've got the signature glass on this panel, this one over here, and then on the top panel it slides out as the other one did. It's got the thumb screws in it right now. Let's undo these bits. Here we are. So the top panel slides out and we've got dust filters on the top, and again space for 360mm radiators max, or you can go with 280mm radiators and fans like that. So you won't be able to fit three 140mm fans, but you can do three 120s. Pricing wise, this is going to be $199 and expected to be available in the next coming months. So now let's go take a look at one of the more experimental cases which are coming out, which kind of goes back to some of Lian Li's proper aluminium roots. So here we have their brand new Odyssey X Chassis. And this is quite an interesting one because this is a proper showcase type idea. So you'll notice there are actually two orientations. This is indeed the same case. What you can do is you can either have it in one mode, which is like the performance mode, this one here, sort of aligned like so, or you can flip it on its side, like this one over here with this rig in it, which will be more for like full-on show. You've got like a divided glass panel on the front, which comes off by these aluminium side sections. And internally, it has support for 80mm thick radiators, and that's an interesting idea, so you can get extra performance at the same time. I think what really interests me here is obviously the O11D and the O11D-XL are steel chassis designed for the sort of more entry market and sort of mid-premium level. This is going to be clearly a very premium chassis because it's made out of thick aluminium. Now, if you're obviously used to Lian Li in the past, that's the sort of thing that they used to do and really excel at. Aluminium chassis was synonymous with Lian Li. So seeing the aluminium come back with all the lovely anodized finishes and things, absolutely fantastic. So I really like this. And it should be interesting seeing how it plays out in the future, just with the different options that you get with this sort of more outlandish idea. Now, obviously, the aesthetics might be very much a personal opinion type thing, but I can see this being quite moddable and really quite interesting if you have a bit of creativity going. Now, in terms of availability, they're expecting this one to be available around August, and pricing is yet to be confirmed, but given how thick the aluminium is and the nature of the construction and everything, I would expect it to be a pretty penny. Now, last but not least, we have some rather interesting fans that caught my fancy here. And the idea here is they are completely modular. And basically, they come like this. Now, if you notice, there are no wires hanging out of this one. And the idea is you take them and then you slot them together. So these are prototype ones at the moment, so there's still a few kinks that need to be worked out. But there you go. Now obviously this is hooked up to a controller at the moment, so the RGB isn't necessarily going to be flowing across, and there's still very much prototype, so I've probably broken the display if anything. But I think this is a fantastic feature, because the thing that I hate the most about doing especially RGB radiator fan builds and things is when you have a lot of fans, you end up with a lot of cables, especially when you're having with 2 cables per fan nowadays. It's absolutely ridiculous. We don't need it. The idea here is you put them on your radiators, it's like a single block or in your case, and you don't have to worry about having millions of wires and things floating around. So I'm really excited to see when these are going to be coming out. As I said, they're still in the prototyping stage, so I don't have any proper concrete information about availability or the pricing, but expect these to make very interesting entrance into the market when they do hit shelves. So that's us done at Lian Li. We'll catch you in the next video.